Welcome back to Broken Electronics. I'm Lee, and it's wonderful to spend some time with you here today. All right. I hope you enjoyed that unboxing. I don't usually do unboxings, certainly not of computers, because they come in these huge boxes that are difficult to carry. It's easier to open them down in the entry foyer and then carry them outside the box up the 2 flights of stairs to get here. But when I saw that it came in that original box, I just had to share that with you. Anyhow, now that we've got that out of the way, I think we need now to take a bit of a tour of the G4 digital audio. Take a look around at the outside of it, open it up, see what we've got inside it, and then boot it up and see what happens. I am suspecting it's going to have Tiger on it, from the fact that it came with a full set of Tiger install discs. I'll be interested in seeing what language it's in, since the install discs themselves were Japanese. We'll find that out, though. And there also seems to be an installation of Panther in there. But we're going to take a good look at that and see what we discover. So there it is. It's a beautiful machine. And if you're curious, as I am, to find out what happens when we start her up, please stay tuned. Here is the digital audio. Now, just as what is a digital audio? From late 1999 through actually about 2004, Power Mac G4s came out at a dizzying pace. From the G4 Yikes, which was basically a blue and white G3 with the G4 on it, put in this graphite case instead of the blue and white case. Other than that, I mean, the logic board was exactly the same. The only real difference was the processor pump. Digital audio came out really not that far after that, about a year or so, January 9th, 2001. And it was a jump. It was the third separate logic board used in Power Mac G4s, from the Yikes blue and white logic board to the AGP graphics, aka Sawtooth, which excuse me, which had a very different logic board. And then this one came out. We'll be seeing that in a bit. And in fact, what the digital audio is more than anything is a Quicksilver without the Quicksilver case, interestingly enough. So here on the front, your Apple logo, of course, optical drive here with the button to open it, which went away eventually. And this actually was the zip drive bay. What we have in here is a USB card reader, which the previous owner put into the zip drive. There was evidently a zip drive in it because he included that zip drive. And put it in here. It looks like he's modified this faceplate a little bit in order to accommodate the card reader. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know that I have a whole lot of use for a card reader. Maybe. I might just put the zip drive back in there just for the heck of it and just for the period authenticity of it all. The speaker, of course, power button. This is the reset button, similar to what you saw in the blue and whites. And the programmer's button, which really was very little used unless you were updating firmware or something like that. All right. Let's get around to the back for the rear I/O. Power supply is in here, so that's the air outtake. There's the phone modem. You've got audio out, audio in, a gigabit Ethernet, two FireWire 400 ports, and two USB 1.0 ports. I think I commented in the last video a little bit about the fact that it has its power switch, but it no longer has the monitor pass-through switch, or not switch, jack. All right, now looking down here where things get somewhat more interesting. The upgraded card here, the original card had an ADC, Apple Display Connector port on there. This has got DVI and VGA. And included in this was an adapter, DVI to VGA adapter, which leads me to think that the previous owner was using it in a dual display setup and had two DVI displays. All right. We have here 4 USB 2.0, and we'll see why that card is in there when we do open it up. And here, 2 eSATA ports. Now that's fascinating. That is a really interesting thing. And I'll be intrigued to see how eSATA behaves on this machine, since I put that PCI Express eSATA card into the G5 Quad. All right, whoops. Okay, sorry about that. Now here we are. Trying to do this with one hand. We got it, yay. Okay, power supply, and he has actually upgraded the power supply here. He did a lot to this. You know, and now we've got our optical drive up here, and down in here is that card reader. Of course, you're not really going to be able to see it, but if we look down here, on that USB 2.0 card, there is an internal USB 2.0, which he's run through here and up into there, so he can plug it into the card reader. Interesting plan. Now, other things he's got here. This is fascinating. He's got a combined mSATA and ATA, aka IDE, PCI card, which he's got one hard drive here connected via SATA, and he's got another hard drive here connected with IDE, but rather than using the built-in IDE, he's got it plugged into the card, which of course allows him to bypass the restriction of 128 gigabytes, so you can have whatever size drive you want in there. Now he's got a card here, one's plugged in, that's the SATA data running to the card, and he's got an adapter here, Molex to SATA power, one there, and then another one down here that's plugged in there, so you would actually, she's got a card in there, you would be able to plug another SATA drive into this. And actually, you could run 2 IDE drives off the card here. You could conceivably pretty easily have 4 internal drives of any size you want. So that's quite something. All right. He does have that upgraded graphics card. More on that later on. Now, this is really interesting. He's got just underneath the USB card here, he's got an additional fan pushing out here. And oh yes, this is the eSATA card right there. Okay, so quite something. Now he does have 3. Now I'll never understand why, when they came up with this much improved logic board, why the heck did they take away one of the RAM slots. So downgrading it to a max of 1.5 gigabytes. But here's the big thing. The processor. This has a processor upgrade. And this actually, there's some paperwork that came with it. This was actually an OWC product with the AGP card that would plug in to the logic board down there and the heatsink, and it had its own fan. In addition to that, we have another fan here as an outtake fan mounted on the back. So there's certainly going to be improved cooling. And well, I'll deal with that later. This is one of the original Israeli batteries. That's got to come out of there. So I will replace that. I don't think you need to see that. But anyhow, that concludes our tour. There's not really much I could do in the way of upgrading this. Possibly replacing the USB card with a USB 2 and FireWire 800, but you know, you'd have to find one that had the internal USB so you could keep using the card reader. So, not there. Storage upgrades, I think, you know, going to SSDs as opposed to these older hard drives. He did these upgrades, you know, back, maybe 2004, 2005, when he bought it from the actual original owner. But anyhow, some really marvelous and exciting work. I can't wait to boot this up. So yeah, I'm gonna replace that battery, and then next thing we'll see should be the machine booting up. Stay tuned. Well, okay, let's boot this up, and I sincerely hope it does boot up after all this. Always a good sign. Can sometimes take a little. I'm having to use the adapter for the Apple Cinema Display HD, and it usually takes a while. Okay, there it leaps into life. Booting into OS 10. Okay. So yeah, we see the two hard drives that are installed. 10.4.11, so Tiger is on there and Panther is on the other hard drive. Okay, he's got the update files are down there. That's interesting. G4 info, text edit document. Okay, just the password and username. All right, that's all fine. Let's see if we can expand this so you get a little bit easier shot at reading this. All right. 1.47 gigahertz power PC. Man, I mean, that's literally twice what the original install. No, wait a minute, more than that, because this particular machine originally had a 466 gigabytes, so that's more than 3 times the speed of the original. Maxed out RAM. Okay. Info. Overshot a bit there. Okay. Yep, same general info there. Boot ROM version 4.2.8, which is what it ought to be. All right, what else do we need to look at here under ATA? Okay, we've got the DVD drive. It is a DVD-ROM. All right. That's all well and good. And if we're thinking in terms of 1,000 bytes to a kilobyte, this is a 500 gig hard drive. In the Mac store. Oh, okay, that's interesting. This is a 250 gig hard drive. They're both saying ATA bus, but this one's actually on the ATA/IDE connection on the card, and it is obviously definitely possible to use larger drives than 128 gig. Why he put Leopard on the smaller, Tiger on the smaller drive and Panther on the larger one, I don't really know. There was no Bluetooth, none was expected. Okay, it can't write either DVDs or CDs, it can read them, that's okay. Firewire, your normal Firewire stuff. Okay, graphics and displays, we want to see this. All right, Radeon 8500, 65 megabytes of video RAM, 64 megabytes, of video RAM, which should be very, very functional. And if we skip down under the cinema display, Quartz Extreme is supported. So yeah, this machine will be able to run Leopard and run it quite well. That's a good thing. Yeah, that's interesting. It says there's an empty slot, but there's only 3 RAM slots in there, PCI cards. Okay, the mSATA card that's got the hard drives attached to it. This would have to be the eSATA card. Or maybe not. Huh, interesting. Okay, USB. All right. That's all well and good. Go down to USB. Okay, yeah, we've got the USB high-speed bus there. The mass storage device, that's the card reader. So the card reader does show up, which is good to know. Just doesn't seem to read as one of the PCI cards. Well, as long as it's working, I suppose that doesn't really matter. All right, let's back ourselves back down to normal. And take a look in System Preferences. Under Startup Disk. And yeah, we see Tiger and Panther. So yeah, I guess when he had installed these, well, let's take a look. Actually, let's close out System Profiler. I mean, the dock looks pretty minimal. Applications will tell us something. Address book, Apple script. Yeah, this is all just a straight, plain everyday Tiger installation. There's nothing new added on there, so I think pretty clearly, well, we can look under applications in Panther. Oh, it does have iMovie in there, which I didn't think iMovie came standard with Panther, but what the heck. All right. Okay, so yeah, I would say other than possibly iMovie, yeah, and the date in there, 2020, so Apple script says 2020. Huh. Sim folder 00, whatever that is. In the system folder. But yeah, there's no OS 9. All right, now, there's something I'd kind of like to look at here. The system restore disks that came with it. Software install for the Power Mac G4. Let that mount up. Okay, good. So the DVD drive is working. Ah, isn't this interesting? 9.1, but yep, it's in Japanese, all right. Ha 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 ha. Isn't that interesting? Wow. Okay, now I may at some point just for kicks try installing that just to see if it actually installs in Japanese. Okay, but okay, got that out. Now, it also came with a set of Tiger discs. I've wondered about this in reading back over it. The machine came out in 2001 with macOS 9.1 installed. There was no OS 10, which surprised me a little bit, because I think... Well, no, because it was so early. Would it have been Cheetah or Puma by then? Well, anyway, there was none. So that system store just has 9.1, but the machine did come with this Tiger DVD, so we'll see if it'll read a DVD. It does on the slow side. Huh. Not coming up. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, so yeah, you've got installer for Mac OS, Japanese. Now, I'm sure you could welcome to Tiger. And this is all in English. But you do have one language pack we're seeing right out here is Japanese. I'm assuming you could still use this disc. I've got an English Tiger installed DVD anyway, but I assume you could use it and then just, as usual, pick the language packs that you want to install. All right. So yeah, the optical drive does work for both DVDs and CDs. It's on the slow side. Witness trying to eject this disc. Should we try that again? Maybe I missed. Yep, there we go. And it actually ejected. Yeah, it's just It's just slow. It does work, so that's there is that. All right. So where are we gonna go from here? Yeah, it's funny. When I first looked at the listing on this machine, I was kind of tempted not to buy it because what I usually do is buy bare bones machines and then upgrade them all myself. That's part of the fun of it. But yeah, obviously there's not much to upgrade. Yeah, processor, you're not going to go very far with that. Even if you can find the cards these days, RAM is up as far. There is the possibility, I suppose, of taking out the USB card and taking out the card reader, putting the zip drive back in, and then reconfiguring. You probably put a combined FireWire USB card in place of the existing USB card. But I don't know, maybe I'll find a way to play around with that FireWire drive. The big thing that I will want to do is storage. I want to get an SSD in there, and actually I should be able to pretty easily put in an SSD and just leave the two existing drives there, because there is another set of cables for the MSATA card. And in doing that, then install Leopard, because this machine will run Leopard very, very, very well. We'll also want to put in OS 9, since it'll boot into OS 9, and run OS 9 really well. So I think all of that will be very interesting. But that's certainly more than enough of a look at this machine for right now. So be good to other people. They deserve it. Be good to yourselves. You all deserve it, and we all need it. Take very, very good and careful care in these most difficult times. We will definitely have another video or two on this machine, as well as a lot of other things in addition to this. So until that time, this has been Broken Electronics.